Hello again, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Get Real with Adura. I just want to say thank you to everyone that listened to the first episode. I loved your feedback, and it's just gotten me so excited to know that it's already helping people. And that's the goal. We're here to have conversations, see that we're not alone, and just learn from each other. I want to remind you again that I'm not here to give you solutions. I'm here to talk to people just like us, and we're just going to know that we're okay. That life is actually supposed to be enjoyed. That's the point of this conversation and many more reasons, obviously. So my second guest, I want to tell you about her. We met, I was going to look for our first conversation we had when she reached out to me on Facebook. We met years ago. We were talking about it the other day that it's been over 10 years. I'm like, I cannot believe it. We met on Facebook when Facebook was the Instagram of those times. And we've just become fast friends since then. She is a personal trainer as well. When we met, she wasn't certified yet. Were you certified yet? I can't remember. You told me anyway. And then, now she lives in Canada with her family. She's a certified personal trainer, certified coach, and she's also a midwife. She's also a mother to two, I want to call them beautiful because I think they're so good looking and they're beyond handsome. Two beautiful boys and a handsome husband. I'll have to say that for a husband. So a beautiful family. I want us to just start talking immediately because if I keep talking about her, I will introduce her for 10 minutes. So I'd like to introduce you all to Jules. Jules, over to you. Can you just tell us a bit about yourself before we go into our conversation?
Hey everyone, thanks Adura for having me. I hope I'm looking in the right space, but whatever, I'm keeping it real here. So yeah, my name is Jules. My friends call me Jules, and like Adura said, I am a mom of two young men and married for 16 years. We live in Canada. We used to live in the UK. We moved over here 10 years ago. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I got certified about 8 years ago, and I'm also an online coach. I'm also a trained midwife and a registered nurse. So those are some of the many hats that I wear. I'm a lover of Jesus. I'm redeemed, because the word says if you're redeemed, say so. I am redeemed. So yeah, that's pretty much me. And just I like to consider myself a ladies' lady. I love interacting with women. I know a lot of people shy away from that, but I don't. I love interacting with women because I just think that we're all doing and going through the same things at different stages. So I just think it's an honor to be able to be here and have this conversation.
Thank you. And I'm very honored to have you here. I want to even start with that. First of all, how many, I like that you said you're a woman's woman, a lady's lady, because it is true for a lot of us women, because of experiences, it's from generalization, but also from personal experiences. We tend to say, look, that I just have just about enough female friends, because I know that, there can be, women say this, it can be a bit of friction. People say they have frenemies, all these different things. So anytime I meet a woman, I know that's how you are. I meet a woman that is just like, you know what, I'm all for women. Like I'm a woman supporting a woman, all these kind of things. I see that there's a movement for that as well, even now, because we realize that a lot of us women, we don't mean to, but just because of experiences, but kind of, we segregate ourselves. And I love that you said that. And it's something that I'm learning from you, because I know that I've been that person, again, based on experiences that I can remember all the way back to secondary school. But I'm not talking about myself today, so let's just leave it there. But I love that you said that. So one thing I like about Jules is that she's very confident. When she was when we started talking, even the way she approached me to ask me about fitness, how she could get into it, just wanted to have get some tips from me. I found her very I loved her bold approach. She was like, look, hi, this is me. We know each other from this group. I need your help. Can we talk? And I really like that, because I wasn't that kind of person. So I picked that up from her. And I have another friend that is so similar to her like that. And I love that she did that. And also, like, when she tells me about even how she got married, we won't talk about that, only if it comes in, how she met her, how she got married, how she even deals with handle situations, I've always seen her as confident. So she's one of my friends that I look at her as, yes, she's had weight issues in the past. She was quite big after she had, I think was her, I can't remember which of your children it was that got that big, but you tell us about that as well. But I've always seen Jules as confident. So when we're having a conversation just this week, just a couple of days ago, she said something that actually I had to say, look, Jules, you've actually surprised me, because I just had this preconceived notion that you are so confident and nothing can knock your confidence, even if it's for 10 seconds. That's the way I've seen you. So when I even heard from someone like her, it happens, and it recently happened, it made me actually say, we tend to make like we just make assumptions about people, right? And usually we're obviously off. So that's why I want to talk to you, because let's even hear from someone that appears to be always confident. Is she actually really always confident, but has had issues in the past that have affected her confidence, and even up till now, where she's in her mid-40s, looking like she's 32, but you can still say that there are things that affect your confidence. So just talk to me about, like, how did you get confident like you are now, Jules? What do you think made you this confident person? Did you grow into it, or you've always been confident?
Well, thank you. To be honest with you, I've never really looked at myself as a confident person or somebody who is not confident. It's a little bit about how people say they're introverted or extroverted. I'm always thinking, why do you have to be something, right? Why can't you just be, So I've never really looked at myself as, am I a confident person or I'm not a confident person? I just show up as me, and that sometimes is perceived by the outside world as confidence. So for me, if I were to give an advice about being confident, is to just show up as you are, right? If you're an outgoing person, show up as that. If you're, somebody who is quieter, show up as that. Just show up as your authentic self. And for me, that's where confidence really is. It's interesting. I'm going to tell you a very short story. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a family come visit us from Nigeria, and they have a 16-year-old daughter, and they're bringing her because they think I'm going to fix her because she has weight issues. And they're like, we're going to take you to Julie and she's going to fix you. Everybody think I can fix people with their weight issues, and it makes me laugh. But anyway, I was talking to this young lady, and I said to her, because her mom was like, she's overweight, she's overweight. And I'm just like, come on, she's 16. But I asked her, I said, how do you feel? Do you think you're overweight? And she said, I never really look at myself as overweight or underweight. I'm just here, I'm just me. And, until one day I was putting on my clothes and I couldn't button it, and I thought, oh, and when she said that, it was the most endearing thing. And I just wish we would all see ourselves as that. And I think that's where confidence comes from. Just be, don't try to be one thing or the other, and just be, right? So I think maybe that's what I would say about how people perceive me. If they think I'm confident, is because I'm just me,
But
can only do
it's
you very
easy.
well.
It's easy for you to say that. I'm saying that because at least, and that's the thing about, but I get what you're saying. But this is where people are trying to get to. So it's easy to, and I'll tell you why. I'm not even trying to say you're not understanding of people, but it's so easy. When you hear about people that are confident, when I talk to people that are confident, or when I talk to people that are just like very laid back and just go through life, when I look into that, when you let's talk to them, you just realize that they just have very simple outlooks. But the
Yes.
issue is that a lot of us, we have complicated things. So you saying that, you just come up and you just show up as you are, yourself. And, people are listening and thinking, yeah, it's easy to say that, but that's not me. And I know why, because I've been, because I'm coming from the far end of the spectrum, from your own side, it's because there's just so much overthinking. I tell people this. You said you are redeemed. You're showing. I wear my Christianity like a badge, and I know that a lot of things that have happened for me and the changes that have been going on in my life are because I decided to just change my mindset with what God says about me. But before I had God, my own mindset was based on what people had said about me. So when you say things like show up as yourself, some of us don't even know who ourselves are right now.
Yeah.
That's the issue. So we're even like, okay, someone said I show up for myself. I'm like, okay, who am I? I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying me, I'm just saying in general. Okay, who is this? Who is Adura? Okay, am I fun loving? Do I like parties? Do I like to stay home? I'm not even sure. What's better? I'm not starting to see that there's some things that I do because people around me, my friends like it, and I just think, let me just hang out with my friends. But who am I really? And there's one other thing that you said, and because I want us to touch on that experience you had. Like I said, I've told you already, it's not for you to give details. It's just for us to just be able to even relate to you more, because we might say, there's a confident person here now, but please, I don't know what she's going to teach us. I love what happened. You taught me a lot with that conversation, I'm telling you. But I'm just thinking now that, how will I show up as my authentic self if I'm not even sure of who I am? It's like I have to probably do like a reset. I have to probably like move away from everything and ask myself, what do I like? Who am I? Right? But for you, how did you already know what your authentic self was? How did you know all of this? Before, and I want to now start coming into even like your body confidence, but we'll go into that. And I remember an experience that we had years ago and that you had that we talked about. So but how did you just know who you are, that you just show up and you come out or show up as you are? How did you know who you are, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think there are two things here. Just because you're confident doesn't mean that you don't have things that you're insecure about. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm confident and I'm not insecure about anything. For me, those are two different things. You can be a confident person, but you have insecurities. You have flaws, you have vulnerabilities, you have things that things that you're not particularly happy with. But that doesn't mean that you're not a confident person. So to ask, like, how do you show up as yourself? Like what you said is overthinking it. Because you're trying to say, oh, how do I show up as myself? Then you're already overthinking it. You know what I mean? You're already overthinking it, and you're already chipping out your confidence. Because, for example, if you wanted to post a picture and then you start to like look at the picture and look at it and begin to scrutinize, you're overthinking it. But if you just posted it, then that's where you're really showing up as you are. So I don't know if that makes sense. So don't misunderstand that when I say that I show up as who I am doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have insecurities or I don't have things that I struggle with, but I still show up as who I am. And that's why perhaps people perceive me as a confident person. Does that make sense?
It does. So that means, okay, you answered part of my question, because it's true. Instead of us, and I guess because I've been that person for a long time, I can tell you that overthinking part is what like makes, like, just paralyzes a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
So even to see confidence, if I'm looking at someone that's confident, instead of just being so like admiring them and saying that, they're so lucky, they're so confident, let me have conversations with them. Let me find out, like how you've already shared with us, that doubts come, things come up, but it's the way you handle them. You've known me for a long time. You know how I'll see it. I used to see pictures. I'm like, Jules, no, the way I'm doing here, maybe I should take another picture. We went through that. You had many conversations like that with me. Even up till today, I took a selfie of myself, and right before I posted it, I noticed that the top I was wearing, that is very fitted, was kind of squeezing my underarm, so it looked like I had a bit of like side fats or something like that. And then I was not looking at it, I was saying, oh yeah, well the line here, my laugh, because my eyes, I have these lines here which I've had forever. Like, oh, it looks a bit deep. I look a bit old, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I should try and like just touch it up a bit, that it's not so obvious, because that's not how I always look. I just said, what? I just posted it on my Instagram story. I just left it as it. That's what I look like, Joabeg, But I know what my thought process was, and I know for me it was growth, because I was already thinking that maybe I should even post it. Don't have to even post anything. I've already posted on my feed. Why post on my story? So one thing I've really picked up from you now is the place of not overthinking, just biting the bullet and just doing it. So like someone like me, for example, I know that I've actually in the past, I've posted and then I've now gone back to my feed and looked and said, okay, not many people have liked it. I quickly deleted. So you can see that there's so many things. There's the first step of at least even going ahead, and then the next step is even to at least sustain it and just move on. So there's a lot to that. So I love that. I like that. I didn't even mean to start a conversation like that, but it just came to my mind. I thought, you know what, I want to ask you, let me just pick your brains a bit about this confidence that I know that you have, how you got there. Now, I want us to talk a bit now about like body confidence and image and all before we go into what you shared with me, which you told me like just the surface stuff. So I don't know the details, but it was enough for me. You said, I remember when you share it on your Instagram. I'll share Jules's Instagram for everyone, so they can follow her on Instagram and just learn more about her. But you shared on Instagram about how you got really big at a point, right? And you lost the weight. There were a bit of, okay, there's a time you got really skinny, you were really into running, you had like different journeys. But there was a time that you got really lean, muscular, like like a lean woman, that like shows that you work out. Do you remember that time that you posted a picture of yourself, right, in this super lean state that you were in, and you got some comments about it? Can you share that with us? Because I want us to see that someone can look great and you can still get comments that are just the opposite of what you really look like. Because can you share that with us? Because I want us to just dig a bit into that.
Yeah. You know what? The truth of the matter is I always get comments, whether I look my leanest, my heaviest, my in-between, I always get comments. And over time, I've learned, I wouldn't say the comments don't get to me, but they don't get to me as much as it used to get to me. So it was this incident where I've been working so hard, like I gained over 100 pounds from having my children. It's not natural to gain 100 pounds. I mean, I know. So it wasn't being pregnant. It was just eating like, I had an excuse. And so I just took it and I just kept eating. And, after I gave birth, I lost a little bit of weight, but, I thought the weight was going to fall off and it never really fell off. And then one day my husband and I went out to a party and somebody took a picture of us and I saw the picture and I looked like his mom. And I was so mad at him. I said, how can you let me be walking around the street looking like this? And he was like he was just speechless, poor man. But anyway, that was when I made the decision to start doing something about it. But then somebody who actually knew me from when I was leaner invited me to a group. And I'm somebody, when I'm anywhere, I always say, if you're invited to a table, if you're not going to contribute to the conversation, leave. That's just my motto in anything. If you invite me to somewhere, if I'm going to come, I'm going to be present. If I'm not going to be present, I'm not going to come. So I was quite active in this group and I was, doing all the things, working out, running, and I got so lean and I was actually wearing like a bikini for the first time. I was proud because I had worked hard. I watched what I ate. I did the work, and I did it the hard way. And someone said to me that I looked like a man and I had no breasts, and it really cut deep. And I think the reason why it cut deep was because I had worked hard, right? I didn't do any shortcuts. I didn't go on any crash diets. I didn't do any of those stuff. It was just pure hard work and just really putting myself out there and encouraging other people along. So that really, really did hurt my feelings. And another thing is like where I also believe very strongly that where growth is not served, I shouldn't be there. So I kind of exited from being there because I just wasn't growing anymore. And I just kind of started like second guessing myself and I just thought, it's time to move on. So so that was that experience. And I still have comments like that. Even last year I went to Nigeria and somebody said to me, you're not as slim as you look online. And I was just like, and I'm just like, okay, first of all, I don't even know how to Photoshop. I don't know how to do those things. I'm useless at things like that. My videos are literally videos of me literally working out. So I don't work out and film a video because I don't have time for that. And so I'm like, I mean, like, what am I supposed to say in this scenario? You know what I mean? So people always say things like that. But what I have learned over time, and I'm not saying it doesn't get to me, but you're learning, you find that the next time when somebody says something, it doesn't hurt as the last time because you're learning, right? What I have learned over the time, when I look at the people who have those things to say, the people who are above you or doing better than you don't say negative things about you. It's those people who are behind you, who are struggling, because the person who had said those comments to me years ago, she was severely overweight. This person who said this to me last year had a big pot belly. So I have learned that, and even very recently, I was telling you, someone who I considered a friend had said something that really cut so deep. And when I look at the person, they're way behind. And I don't say that in a negative way to say that I'm better, but when you make an assessment of the judgment that that is being passed on you, and you actually make a comparison of that person who is making that judgment, you're way ahead. So I've come to realize that those people who are doing well, better than you, they don't have time to criticize you. It's those people who are behind that are more likely to criticize you. So that's how I've just come to not let that cut so deep, that before, like, that first incident, it cut me deep for years.
Yes, I remember.
For years. And then the last incident last year that somebody said, I thought about it for like a week.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this last. You talking about both of them. I remember there's a big difference. Yeah. Because with that one, you had done so much work. You were looking so good. And then someone said that. And it's not like you, and I agree with you. It's not like you're trying to come here and say, look, I'm better than this person or whatever. But you've noticed, I'm going to tell you that the aunties that would, like, for example, I'm not married yet. Sometimes I'm supposed to that the aunties that bother you the most are the aunties that maybe they're not, either not in a good marriage or they're never married. Maybe something happened. So, it's so funny you said that, because I didn't think about it that way, but a lot of times people that really have the time to be on you, to make it be like almost like to cut you, not even like they're even giving you advice, but it's more like they're just telling you point blank. You're like, if you assess it, a lot of times it's either a bitter person, or I think the person is ahead of you for some reason, I don't know. Or maybe it's that they have similar struggles or even worse struggles. So it's like, I'm thinking of love, like God's love. I didn't mean to bring this in, but I'm thinking like how people are always telling me that, if I love like God, I'll find a way to understand where somebody is coming from. So as we were talking, I thought, if instead of me being so hurt by what people are saying, it's like, let me try and figure out where they're coming from. So, and I've started to notice that I have some people, I live in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, we have a different way of just being over too real. So you hear people being real and it's like, we have no filter in Nigeria. So I've gotten used to it now that I don't spend time, like when I hear something, I don't just say, okay, yes, it's an attack on me. I have to fix myself. Poor me, how am I going to change myself? So I even like how you said it, that progress you've seen in yourself, because that was a long time ago. I remember when we were in that group, a long time ago when that was said. And it's good that you're also telling us that you still have people make comments. So it's not as if maybe it was just then and now who look at you and they just like say, yes, Jules is perfect. I have nothing but good things to say. People will always have comments, but you've noticed how you have grown, how you now, like, you don't hold on to the things that people say. Instead, you're like, okay, well, I've observed that, there's a reason behind it. And but the reason that you have observed is that it's just where they are. They might not have achieved what you've achieved. So it's coming from that place. Because most people that have achieved or done more than you've done, they don't have the time to say things like that to you. Even though I personally would say that, in addition to that, because of people that have spoken to me a lot in Nigeria, sometimes some people don't even know that they're actually being like that. They actually just think it's just being matter of fact. They don't know. But a lot of times, there is more to it. And as I use the example of like bitter. For example, I'm not saying not even bitter towards you, but just in general. Like I was saying, I don't know if I told you about this. I met someone, and I'm going to ask you, because I want to ask you more about what you shared with that person, that friend of yours recently. Because recently, someone was I was talking to somebody in Nigeria, back home in Lagos, and the person was telling me about an experience that someone had had. I think maybe they'd met somebody that I'd had a lot of work done. So lipo bought this and all. So the person looks great. And this person that's quite overweight was talking to a friend of theirs saying that, look, I've tried. I know what I'm going through. It's not possible. So I'm going to have to do the same thing eventually. And the friend that, looked great, imagine if it was you, you're out there, even though I will know the work you put, I know the work you put in. Imagine you telling me that one day, I'm like, Adura, no, you can't do it. That you have to keep trying. Obviously, the way so I'm the big person in this conversation, responded, the person was so shocked at how the person just like snapped at them. But it gave her an insight into the mind of someone that is struggling. So for them, they've struggled, they've done what they think is right, they've gone walking, they've run, they've done crash diets, all of that. And then you are now trying to either look great without looking like making it look effortless, or you're trying to tell them to do the like what you say, you put in the work. So I think for me, it gave me like a bit of insight. What do you think about that? It gave me insight into the mind of people like us, where we've gone to the place that we really struggled before we finally found our footing, and we're still up and down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can say that again.
Yeah,
Definitely still up and down.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I also feel like you also have to assess yourself. Actually, before we came on this conversation today, I was actually thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, sometimes there's this saying that it's not about you, it's about them. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, why did that hurt? Right? And sometimes it could just be for the mere fact that you feel like you worked so hard. But also it could also be from the fact that you might be feeling insecure and you're already kind of judging yourself. So remember what I said earlier on, confidence for me, being confident doesn't mean that you don't have insecurity.
Yeah.
It just means you still show up in spite of your insecurities as who you are, So for me, I begin to like look back and and ask myself, why did that hurt so much? And why didn't that bother me as much? And it's all a growth process. That hurt back then because, I felt I worked so hard. And then, another scenario that would come up and, I hurt and I'm like, why did this hurt me so badly? Like this last scenario that came up. And I answered that question because I was already doubting myself. So that insecurity was already in me. It's almost like, there is this adage in the African culture that said a child that wants to cry, when I poke your hands into their eyes, they're gonna cry, So it hurts so much because you're already kind of doubting yourself. Like you said, you came on and you're thinking, oh, this is sticking out. And then somebody now say, oh, why is that sticking out? Then you're like, oh my God, I said it.
Exactly.
Didn't I say it was sticking out?
True.
So it's very good to always like, take a step back and really go inward and ask yourself, why did that bother me that much? And like a process of self-reflection, and why didn't it bother me this time? And being able to just make that progression in your mind. Yes.
It's interesting that you said that, because I remember when I recorded the first episode of this Get Away with Adura, and it was like an hour long, and we didn't plan to talk for an hour, but the conversation was just going.
Oh, by the way, I watched that twice.
Really? Oh, you see, thank you for that feedback. I want to pick up on something that you said. You said like when I take my picture and I noticed there's a bit of like arm fat showing because of my tight top, and if someone had said, Adra, how far? Why are you looking like that? I'd have now picked up on that because I was already doubting myself. I'd already seen it, and the same thing as when I recorded the first episode of Get Real with Adura, and it was like an hour long, and already I was already doubting myself, thinking that it was an hour long. Or who is going to watch or listen to this thing for an hour, right? That's how I felt. And then somebody that is on my side definitely now said, think about it. Who will listen to it? I didn't mention it to this person. He said, think about it. Do you really want to be an hour long? Who will listen to it for an hour? And already all the doubts I had just came, and I had to handle it properly because I've been growing this. I had to say to the person that, look, that was the first episode. It was meant to be like that. I already have plans not to make it as long. But before, what would have happened is I would have taken that on board and now thought maybe I should take it down and make it into 2 episodes. And I actually had those thoughts come into my mind, but it's how I handled it. right?
Yeah.
So I think I can pick that up from you. That's a big part of it. You have to know like what will cause you to take it so serious that it will really
Yeah.
affect you and affect what you're trying to do.
Yes. Yes. And I think we place a lot of unnecessary expectation upon ourselves, and we're always trying to impress a lot of people. Like, but what I've learned, and I'm learning every day, it's that if a message is beneficial to one,
Mm-hmm.
then that was who that message was for, you know. And you know, like again, like you said, even about that video, it's about you showed up as yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I mean by being confident. I see that about you. I think you're a very confident person because you show up as yourself, right? It doesn't mean you don't have insecurities, but you're like, this is how I am today, you know, kind of a thing. But
I've grown
even
into
saying
that.
that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to always, you know, you have to put yourself in a bad light. You know, if something doesn't look great, and you know you look better than that, then it's okay not to put it out, because that's actually not a true reflection of who you are, you know, or how you look, or all of that. But it's when you are actually trying to doctor something to be who you're not. I think that's the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah. I remember, you know, sometimes people would take a picture of me and it's a terrible angle. I'm standing in a weird way. I don't stand like that. So why would I put a picture of myself standing like that? Like, it's not fair, you know, but that does not mean that I'm not being real. I'm actually being real because that's not how I present. You know, the same way I remember one time I posted a video of being on vacation and drinking alcohol. I had to put a caveat that I do not drink alcohol. Does that mean I'm not being real? I am being real because that is my truth. I can't put it out there and say, oh yeah, just drink, be happy, just drink whatever you like. That is not true for me. That is not being honest. That's not being real. So my sense of realness might not be the same as yours, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid, right?
You know, as you were speaking, it made me think about that overthinking that you mentioned at the beginning, because that's why you can see that there's still a lot of growth for a lot of us, even for me. Because for me, I'd have thought that, okay, well, what used to go wrong before was that I'll see a picture, I'll feel bad about it, and I won't post it because of how I look. I can still see a picture now and say, well, this is not a true representation of what I really look like, and not post it, but that's the end. But it's what I do after, like, what's going on here? And I know that before, what usually would go on is that I would then start to think, how did I get here? Oh, I'm so huge. In fact, I still even find myself doing it sometimes, but I'm just getting better. I'll be very honest with you. But I'll now and then, in fact, you remember I was so lean. Like, in fact, when I look at pictures, I'm thinking that, you know, my sister even told me a few years ago that she couldn't even tell me how tiny I was because she thought I'll take offense, but I was actually so skinny. So I didn't even know all of this, but I was so skinny. But I'll see a picture. I'm in a plank position. Maybe I breathed out at the second the picture was taken, and then it looks like my tummy is hanging. Meanwhile, there was no tummy to hang in the first place. So I would now start looking at those pictures, start thinking, okay, how can I get myself to the place where my tummy doesn't hang ever when I'm in plank position? Meanwhile, now, if that kind of thing happens, if I truly have gained a bit of, you know, a couple of inches, then I'll do something about it. I'll pick it up. I'm like, oh man, how did I get here? But if it's like, this is how I always look, and my tummy is hanging here, well, I mean, it'll be a video, so they'll see me breathing here, they'll see me breathe out. And I don't know if it's because I've gotten older. I don't know if I'm trying to figure out what has helped me with my confidence, like, or am I just like, you know what, we'll just post it. That's that. What's done is done. I really cannot tell. But it's interesting that every time like you see me as someone that is confident, because I'm not this confident. I don't feel, I'm usually not felt like that. So it's interesting that, you know, when I hear someone like you, anyway, so you know, I just find it interesting that you're saying that, you know, you see me as, okay, a confident person. I know I've grown into it. A lot of the things, and I think for me, you've helped me out a lot because you've said, just because you're confident doesn't mean that doubts don't come, insecurities are not there. It's just that with that, you just keep at it. You show up. And I think as well, a lot of us have to accept that doubts will still come. You will still have insecurities, but it's what you do with those doubts, or despite the doubts and insecurities, that really helps you to be this confident person. It helps you just live your life and not keep second guessing what people say or what you even think about yourself. I think that's one major thing I've picked up from you. So the doubts are there. So it even helped me to explain, understand what you shared with me a few days ago. That instead of me being like, "Ah, what, Jules, super Jules, who is super confident, can be like this," is making me see that, yeah, if you were in doubt about things already, you were doubting some things about yourself already, and then somebody came and fed those doubts, not even knowing that that's where you were, then it makes sense that it affected you for a while, but I mean you bounce back from it. But it makes sense, right?
Yes.
You still have doubts. So can you share
Yeah.
just before, because I know we were again, we've been talking for a long time, but I mean I've enjoyed myself. So if you think it's too long, pause it and come back and listen to it later. It's your I'm not going to apologize for it being long again. But just I want to know, how did you deal with it? So when you were told something that you're already doubting, what was your response to it this time? And how did you bounce back? I just want to hear about that.
Okay, I don't know about bouncing back.
Bounce back, because I know where you are now. I know what you told us. Tell us,
Yeah,
and see what I'm saying.
yeah.
Bounce back.
I think for me, and I'm not saying this is the right way
Mhm.
or the wrong way, it's just me, right? I always, there's something Oprah Winfrey said once, and it's really helped me. Anything that she does that people complain about, she says, excuse me, it's a character flaw. And she's letting them know that she's flawed. You know, if you're somebody that you're always late and like, you're so late, you're like, I'm sorry, I'm working on it, it's a character flaw. So I want to say that maybe my way of handling things is a character flaw. I want to prefix that. But what I find is I'm so much into growth and glow. If I'm in a situation and that thing is not growing me, it's not glowing me, and it's just dragging me down every time, I remove myself from that situation. I really do. Because my husband says that you love yourself a lot. And I'm like, yes, I do love myself a lot. And that's why I'm able to really love people, because I feel like I have to come from a place of abundance. So what I do is I take on board what the person had said, and I really go back, like I said in the beginning, I really assess my situation. Why has this affected me like this? And after taking an assessment, I would decide if it was all me and it's just a matter of me working on myself, or if there's a projection from that person. And if I want to continue to allow that projection. And I don't necessarily cut people off, but I set boundaries and I distance myself from it, because I don't want things that don't grow me and don't glow me and just bring out the worst in me. So I distance myself from such association, like I did with many over 10 years ago. And even in this situation, I distance myself from it, because if it makes me feel rotten about myself, what's the point of being there? You know, being in a situation, you know, that just makes you feel like you're a terrible person. But first, it has to come from a place of assessing yourself and saying, okay, have I really done this wrong? What can I learn from this? And so for me, that's what I do. I distance myself from that situation, and I put boundaries so that I don't allow people to feed into things that begin to planting that self-doubt and destroy my confidence, right? You have to protect that at all costs. And I do that with my kids, you know. I try not to break their confidence. I try to just help them build their confidence. I always tell, very recently, I was telling my youngest son, who actually wrote a letter to his teacher. And it was such a big deal. The teacher had to call me at the head of school. They had this huge meeting because my son had written this letter to his teacher. And I said to him, in the presence of the teacher, I said to him, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you, because you wrote your truth even when your voice was shaking. And now you're sitting in front of all these authority. He's 11. and you're standing in front of all this authority defending your truth. I said, the only thing I'm going to correct is your manner of delivery. So you just need to deliver that message in a different way. So that's the same thing. Like if I feel like that delivery crushed me and it's beginning to plant seed of doubt in my mind, then I have to distance myself from it. I have to set those boundaries.
Or if it's even feeding the doubts you already had, you know, then what's the point? You know, it's very hard. I think as well, a lot of people struggle with setting boundaries. But I like something that you told me, you know, recently as well, when we were telling me about even how you deal with social media. Because the thing about social media is we see snapshots of people's lives, right? We see edited versions of people's, you know, pictures. We see the nice, you know, because we usually see the great things. So what will happen is if I'm here, I'm a regular person that has issues with my skin or with my body or something, and I'm just going on social media and I keep seeing, you know, all these people that they just look perfect. And I even hear people's, and I also get, that's what's one side of it. I also get feedback from people that they are telling me things about how I look. Or, you know, they might have a friend that used to have skin issues for a long time. And people will ask her questions. Oh, have you tried this? Try aloe vera, do this. And she's like, excuse me, first of all, why are you even talking about my skin? We're not in I didn't ask for your opinion, but they're happy to tell you. So I'm here, and you said something, you said that anything that you know is like, as they say, doesn't grow you. It plants seeds of doubt. You find yourself, you know, checking yourself like, oh, am I good enough? Or you're even looking at the person, even wanting to criticize them. On social media, you unfollow, you mute that person, you know, and some people will say, that's a bit extreme, but you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your mind, because if not, you will find ways. And it's so interesting. You just keep on finding different reasons to bring yourself down, that you don't even need anybody's help to not make you confident, right? You do it yourself. And I want to share something else. Maybe you told me about it because I've been talking a lot. You know, you were telling me about recently what you went to a church and what the pastor was saying. I want us to even look at it. And look, I know some people here are not Christian that are listening, but I want them to apply it, because as I was just talking now, I remember what she said, and I realized how much work we do by ourselves to further bring ourselves down, right? So please share that experience you had with that church.
So so I was, you know, we're talking about this pastor. So we went to a church, and we went there accidentally. Wanted to go for just one Sunday, and then the message was about angels, and my sons said they wanted to stay for the whole message. So we went there for 4 weeks. So during the process, the pastor was preaching, and he said, a lot of people think the devil is after them, but actually they are the ones after themselves. And he wasn't saying that to be a motivational speaker. He was speaking pure scripture. He said the devil is not omnipresent. The devil cannot be in your house for 18 years, for 1 week, for 2 years, for troubling you. The devil comes in and he causes havoc one time and he goes. And for that havoc to continue to be there, you're the one feeding it with your ego, with your pride, with your unbelief, with your unforgiveness, with all of that humanity. So for example, if you have an issue with your husband, the devil might come and cause a discord, and he's done that and he's gone. Now, for that quarrel to carry on for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 5 years, for 10 years, it's on you. It's on you refusing to forgive. It's on you beginning to like, look at how he swallowed, how he sat down. Why did he look at his phone like this? It's you that is doing that. I mean, later on, the devil is going to come and see what's going on here. Are they mended, and see how he can shake
things. And see how he can help you shake things up again.
Shake it up a bit more, but
and you help him do the work.
Exactly. So when people say, oh, the enemy. No. The devil is not like Christ that is omnipresent. He's not there. He comes one time, he's done it, and he's gone. So sometimes when I see discords and things that is just festering, dragging on for longer than it should, I kind of have to ask myself, really, a lot of this is now down to your pride. But that doesn't mean you can't set boundaries, because, you know, you don't want to give people the opportunity to keep hurting you, but to sit in it, that's all on you. It's got nothing to do with the devil, 100%.
And I like that, because for people like me, I'm telling you, I've grown a lot, obviously. But for someone like me, if I heard something like that in the past, I'll say you don't understand. You don't know where I'm coming from. You don't know what I've experienced. But based on when I can look back at myself, I can check, I can see how, yes, someone will say something, or I will notice something might come to mind. And I'm the one that was dwelling on those things. I'm the one that blew it into a different dimension. I was overthinking. I was overanalyzing. I was just bringing myself down based on a small thing that was said. For example, if someone had seen the picture I posted today, I said, I was talking to someone today, and the person said, Sister Adura, because she's younger than me, said, Sister Adura, I like your face is looking fuller. I like this, your American face. Hey, imagine someone like me here. Now, you know me now. So I was always like, I don't know. Oh my, and then she never said, Sister Adura, before you say anything, no, I watched the first episode of that, you'll get you there. You talked about, but I said, look at my life. I cannot even react to this thing the way I want to react. But it was good because when she said that, it made me think that, you know what, okay, fine, I'm here, I've had fun, I've eaten a lot, I might be looking a bit, but around there, but hey, whatever. But I know that before, or if she hadn't said, I think God helped me there, she said that, and she was saying it playfully. And she was saying she actually liked it because some people actually like me a bit fuller face. They think I look nicer, they think I look happier. Meanwhile, I prefer myself a bit leaner. So it's okay.
I think you look happier.
Anyway, let me not talk about that. But when she said it, and she reminded me of the conversation I'd had with Ada Ari in the first one, I thought, you know what? She said it. Okay, that's a check for me. I do remember back to reality soon. You also enjoy it. Rather start behaving yourself. But I didn't dwell on it and think, how do I allow myself to, how do I let go of myself like this? I should know better now. I'm a fitness professional. I have food that, I tell them to do this, I tell them to do, and I've already gone. Then by tomorrow, someone will ask me how I'm feeling, I'll be down. A week from now, I'll still be feeling down. Maybe I'll even in that downness, eat more, instead of even maybe trying to start my whatever it is. Do you understand what I mean? So I really wanted you to share that because for me, it was I just applied it to different parts of life. So if you are hearing somebody say something about you, what do you do about it? Do you make it your own and let it and just build on it and make it in something huge? Or do you take whatever it is you need to take on board, because most of the time there's a bit of truth there, but the delivery is not great, and they might even make you feel worse. And take what you need to take out of it, and then if you need to set boundaries, do it, or if you need to give the person feedback and say they shouldn't have, whatever it is, but you are responsible for how you deal with these things. Jules, one more thing that you said, I really, and I will have like just 5 moments, I promise. One more thing that you said I really want to pick up on is the more you said about your son now and your children. Now, a lot of people that are listening, have children as well. Last one I did, people picked up on something that Ada said. And even what I said about what I'd heard as a child and how I still remember those things now in my 40s. So I like what you said. Yes, your son wrote a letter. The delivery was not, how he did it was not great, but you were still happy that he was bold enough to let his truth be known, right? And you said, well done, but next time do it this way. I'm picking up on that because even now as adults, a lot of us are not treated like that. And I think that's what even knocks some of us that are not confident enough yet, it knocks us like down, like it just breaks people down. Because if people are just berated, told the wrong things all the time, then how are they going to grow? How are they going to take ownership of who they are? You said the Oprah thing as well. It's a character flaw and I'm working on it. How many of us can even see ourselves like that and say, I'm flawed. Yes, I'm not great at this, but I'm working on and own it. That's how people progress. So honestly, in lots of things you said, let me just speak, and I'll see if I'll see if you want to just say anything else. Another thing you said was being confident doesn't mean that you don't have insecurities or doubts. I'm going to actually take a picture of you and me and probably if I get a picture of you and post that on Instagram, because I think it's a major thing for people to remember. So when I look at my confident friend, or looking at your confidence, someone that's confident, don't look at them and think that they don't have worries, they don't have doubts. It's what they do about them. They're not suppressing these things. They're not, trying to look confident. You might see them as super confident, but they're trying to address these things. But those things are not bringing them down.
Yeah.
Also, owning yourself. I want you to just just helping us wrap up now. I want to even know how I should own because you said show up as yourself, and you did share a bit about that. But how to just enjoy your life. Why am I now just in my 40s now saying, okay, I'm happy with who Adura is. If you like don't like me, but I know that God loves me, and the places I need to change, I'm changing. I'm working on it. But how does someone that's listening today just know, okay, let me show up as myself. Right now I'm a size 18. Okay, I know I'm going to be a size 12 eventually. But for now, I'm a size 18. I'm confident, like example you gave of your relative that came. And she always was very okay with herself until she saw that something did not button up. How do we just, I know you're not giving us all the answers, but just give someone a tip now. Someone is here thinking, okay, yeah, she shows up as herself. How do I start to show up as myself?
Well, one thing that I want to say, if we talk a little bit about body confidence and just confidence in general, you cannot be feel positive about yourself except you're doing something positive for yourself. So it's not just going to come from nowhere. If you're not doing something positive for yourself, you're not going to feel positive about yourself. And that is not just about your physical, but also about your internal, about your mind. If you're not trying to improve yourself, you're not suddenly going to feel improved. So when someone knocks you down, but when you know that you're actually actively working on yourself, it doesn't really shake you too much, because you're like, I'm working on it. So and I think that's the beauty of it, and that's how you can just show up, because you're not there yet, but you're on it. So you can't knock somebody down who is working on themselves, who is improving, who is actively seeking something,
and they are aware of themselves, right?
They are aware of themselves.
Yes, because people are trying, and they're like, but you don't even know how much I'm trying, and you're knocking me down. But it's like that place of acceptance. You used that word earlier, acceptance. Okay, this is where I am, but I know where I want to get to. So if someone comes and says, yes, your eye, well, you see someone's eyes are too big, they can't reduce their eyes. Let them eyes alone. But maybe say like, they're too overweight or whatever, and that in fact you've already lost 10 pounds. It's like you need to take ownership of and also that hard work, right? That you're doing. You need to almost like give yourself a pat on the back and say, I am trying. I know where I'm getting to. But Jules, honestly, one thing you said, I'm literally thinking about it a lot. In that place of just knowing the things, you have to filter things in. It starts from muting notifications.
100%. And it doesn't mean you don't like, you're not quarreling with the person, and it could be for a time. It doesn't have to be forever. It could just be for a time. Like it could even be with somebody like Adura and me. It could even be me, because if you come on my social media, you're the same age as me. Every time you come there, you see Jules. I don't know what I do. She's working out and she's doing all these things. And every time you go there, you just feel worse and worse and worse about yourself. Freaking mute me. Just mute it so that you can work on yourself, so that you're able to look into those things. And I do that with a lot of people. Like, they might just seem to have this fabulous life, this fabulous marriage, and it's just so fantastic. And maybe I'm watching this at a point where I'm just like so mad at my husband, I'm just about ready to kill him today. And this person is just posting that she's kissing her husband and they're going on this fantastic holiday. She's living her best life. But it's triggering, and it's making me even fight more with my husband. So for a time, I'm going to go and I'm going to mute that story, because I don't want to see it right now, because I don't have the mind, the mental space to be able to deal with them. That's the boundaries. I'm protecting my peace.
So I like that.
So it's not about that person. It's me. It's about me and my triggers. But there has to be a difference between that and when someone inspires you to be better. Because if someone is making you uncomfortable, you might actually have to ask yourself, why is this uncomfortable for me to look at? Is it because she's pointing out something that I should be doing? Or is this actually making me feel worse about myself? So don't be afraid to press that mute button until you're mentally able to take it.
Handle. Okay, so now I know I caught you. You're actually supposed to wrap up, but then I just picked on something else you said. So just give us like some closing words. Then I'll just, we'll all celebrate you. Thank you, and I'll remind everybody on how I'll remind everybody how they can reach you, and yeah, just get to know you more.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think my closing word would be just based on the topic. Confident people have insecurities. Just remember that. They all have insecurity. Everybody has insecurities. Everybody has vulnerabilities. But just showing up as who you are now will help you be more confident. And do something positive for yourself. Be actively doing something positive for yourself. You cannot have body positivity, mental positivity, spiritual positivity if you're not doing something positive for yourself in that area. It just doesn't just happen.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jules. I'm so grateful for you and the time you've given us. And I picked up, even though I talked to you, I know you. I've learned a lot. And I'm honestly just thinking of all these things. And I know people are listening and that, we're just thinking about ourselves. And yes, how can I just enjoy life? I've picked up even a lot more. So I'll probably be sharing more about what you said on social media. And I would love to hear for all of you listening, watching. If you learned something, if this helped you in one way or the other, please make sure you share it. And also, because Jules gave of her time today, please go on Instagram. And I think the easiest one, because she's also on Facebook, I think Instagram is where she's really active. Go on her Instagram at Jules Fitnex. I'll say that way because it's spelled with it's FITNEX. Will also be on the screen and also in the caption of this video, so you can get that information. Thank you so much, Jules. And Jules is, like I said, I'll hail her again. And maybe we'll talk about that another time, because even when she, like, her confidence when it came to even when she where she was when she met her husband, and even how she is now, I'm learning things from her. So I know that I'll probably ask her more questions about that another time. But thank you, Jules. Superwoman, confident woman, mother. Look at her face, she's like mother, wife, midwife, personal trainer, coach, great friend, sister to many, many, many people. And you are loved and appreciated. I'm so thankful for what you shared today. And I'm going to hold on to a lot of what you've said. And I hope people are going to do that. And let's just see that. Look, let's just pick up the things you need to pick up. Mute who you need to mute. Just stay away from people that you need to stay away from. It's more about you than them. And also, don't just block everyone out. Why are they saying these things to you? Why are you reacting that way? Figure these things out. Just look within. And honestly, you're the one that even begins to heal yourself. And finally, you are the one that can also dig a deeper hole or start to fill that hole so that you can start to see progress in your life. Don't dwell on things that people say. You have to start finding a way to love yourself for who you are. Figure it out. If you need professional help, go get the professional help. If you need God, go get God. God is there for you. Whatever it is, just do it. And honestly, you will live this totally confident life. So, Jules, thank you so much. Thank you again. And let's just say bye to everyone. Let's just say bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so see you soon, everybody. And I'll be back with the next episode in a couple of weeks. But until then, make sure you share, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.